This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, saving your day from boredom with the best podcasting entertainment.
What's up, Superfans? Welcome in to another edition of the Superfans podcast right here on Most Valuable Podcasts. I'm going to change things up. We're going to go counterclockwise today. I am joined with Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
And Sean Anderson.
Hello.
And the reason why I went with Sean last is Sean will be joining us for this first topic. Then he will be dipping because he's got to get to work, and we know how much work is important. But before we get into everything, make sure to check us out, patreon.com/Most Valuable Podcasts. No,
the
it's
shot?
important.
It's saying, like, work's more important than podcasts?
I am glad you have a job, because if you didn't have a job, I would feel sorry for you, Sean,
It
because we
felt
all
like a
need
shot.
jobs. It's not a shot.
Felt like a shot.
It's not a shot. But patreon.com/Most Valuable Podcast. That's how you help support us. Check that link out down below. And the opening salvo that we're doing for the podcast is baseball. Haven't talked about that in a while. I'm going to be looking at the Chicago White Sox. I'm going to talk Bears and Bulls as well. Maybe some Cubs. Who knows? But with the White Sox, what we are looking at is Scott Boras made some comments, and basically the gist of it was that free agents are going to look a little bit differently at the White Sox than they maybe did 2 years ago. Both of you guys being the White Sox fans in the room, me being the Cubs, I am going to throw it to you. Is Scott Boras right about this? Will free agency or free agents look at the White Sox differently, and should they look at the White Sox differently?
Absolutely. I think they should look at them differently just because the last time they've made a play, this is a different team than any White Sox team has been going into free agency. Over the past 2 years, this team has made a concerted effort to go away from what the typical idea was with Jerry Ball, was to be competitive each and every year. And, hey, hope for 85 games.
Second place is good.
Maybe we'll win 92. They've always went after veterans, and they've had Paul Konerko, and they've had Mark Burley, and they've always tried to have a recognizable face out there and just be trying to add to the core that's been there. The signing of Melky Cabrera comes to mind. The signing of Todd Frazier, the trade for Adam Eaton comes to mind. The signing of Adam Dunn. They've always gone after players that they thought would fit the role of their team and add on in a veteran sense, rather than what they're currently doing in retooling. They typically were trying to retool and add, where now they were in a full rebuild. And now I do think players are looking at them differently. This is a team that is new. They're up and coming. They're trying to get younger talent around them, and now they're trying to add the veteran. They're trying to add the piece to this team, and I think free agents are going to look at that differently. They're trying to add one player that's going to put them over the top, and they're going to sell that to these guys that hey, Anthony Rendon, if you come to this, you are going to be the guy on our team, our young and up and coming team, and at the end of your contract, you won't have to be the guy anymore. We will have a guy that steps up, but you'll still be making a ton of money because you were the guy at some point, and we're going to pay you like that. So I think the teams and players are going to look at them differently, because this is a different team. This isn't the Kenny Williams White Sox any longer. This is the new
Rick Hahn.
This is the new Rick Hahn White Sox, which I don't know if is much different, but it's a facelift.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the fact that we're in a position where right now we are only getting better year over year. This team has loaded up on their farm teams. Like, we have so much young talent coming up through the ranks, and getting someone in at ground floor is basically the offer that they're throwing out there. I love what you said about the look, we're going to give you a ton of money, and this team's going to grow as you age. You're the guy who's going to legitimize us. You're the guy who's going to be the staple of, this is how we're going to make the jump from a pretty good regular season, the fun group of guys, to a playoff team. And then as we continue to grow, we're going to hit that serious contender phase. And that's really when we're going to peak. So I'm all in on the idea that we've got money to spend. We've got young talent. We've got all the right pieces going forward. We're in a position where several other teams were a couple of years ago who are now competing year in, year out in the playoffs. So I think we're 100% on the right track, and I really do hope that we can attract those names, because you're right. In the past, we were aiming purely on name value just to put butts in seats, and now it feels like this is something coming together.
Yeah, and I think with Boras, too, Boras is always going to try to sell his guys on making the most money, making sure you're paid correctly. And I think the fact that he's coming out and saying that is pretty much telling the White Sox that, hey, you have money. I'm not afraid to send my guys to you as long as you're going to spend that money. And I think that's the reason why he made those comments. Scott Boras, I don't think he cares if White Sox fans think like, oh, hey, it is different. I don't think he gives a shit about us. He wants to make money. But I do think that he knows that Jerry Reinsdorf has money to spend, and I think he does know that this team needs to add somebody, and we know that he has that ability to scout players and know what teams need because he has been able to get every big name. He's been able to notice right from when they are about to be drafted to get that guy. You look at his list, and it is a killer list of players. He's gotten Bryce Harper. He's gotten Anthony Rendon. He's gotten Garrett Cole. He's gone out and
Chris Bryant, I believe, right?
He's got Chris Bryant. I mean, you look at that, and all those guys are top 10 picks, but still, top 10 picks aren't like the NBA.
It's not guaranteed.
You're going after guys that, yes, Chris Bryant's a name value, but Chris Bryant's going with you because of the success that you've had. I was about to say sex you've had with Barry Bonds.
I was like, is it sexy?
No,
pick,
but
right?
the success you've had throughout your career. So it is something that Scott Boras has done such a fantastic job over his agent career that guys trust him, and Scott Boras has done also a great job of picking the right guys as well.
Yeah.
And I think that he realizes that the White Sox need somebody, and I think he realizes that Jerry should add one of his players.
It's a win-win situation.
If he pays the money.
He's a scummy guy.
You help me, help me.
Yeah, exactly.
Scott Boras is going to be scummy, but we're thinking of him scummy because he wants more money. But that's the job of an agent. So,
well, and the question I want to throw out there is, there's a lot of free agent names that people are going to throw out there. I know one of the big ones on the pitching side is Garrett Cole, but I didn't see this until Sean. I was trying to find, I think it was your Twitter, where I saw you
great follow,
bash this. Sean _W_Anderson. But I mean, I think it was your Twitter where I saw a potential Mookie Betts to the White Sox trade. And all I remember about it is that Kopech was involved in it. I think it was two players.
It was Kopech and Madrigal for Mookie Betts.
Right.
The reason why, so the deal was proposed on MLB Network. The reason why that deal was proposed, because honestly, that's not enough for Mookie Betts. But the reason why it's that short is because it's a 1 year. He's currently on a 1 year deal, so you'd have to re-sign Mookie Betts. If you were able to get him for that price, you would do it in a fucking heartbeat.
But that's not going to be the trade, obviously.
It's not going to happen. They're not trading him.
I was going to ask you,
if the Red Sox trade him, they're going to be fucking morons.
Exactly.
Sorry.
I was going to ask you this. How hard should the because free agents, let's say the White Sox maybe strike out with free agents, maybe it's a winter meetings thing.
Yeah.
How hard should the White Sox be pushing for a Mookie Betts?
I think
should they look via the trade rather than free agency this offseason?
No, they should be looking free agency.
Yeah, we got the money.
You have the money, and the whole point of having these young players is the fact that they will be able to keep replenishing you. And hey, if you have a depth of prospects and you have guys that are fighting for spots, and hey, you have 6 great pitchers, well, that's going to allow you to make a move to possibly replenish the pool again and keep this going and keep the young players coming up and then moving those for players as well later down the line. But as much as I love Mookie Betts, as long as Mookie Betts is a top 5 player in the MLB, I wouldn't be upset if we traded for him. However, I think free agency is the route for this White Sox team, because I think you can add so many players without giving up anything on your team. And if you have such a great, farm team and a farm system like the White Sox do, and you're able to add MLB talent to that, that is just going to help you out, especially come trade deadline. And if you're like, hey, we need one more piece, let's move one of the farm pieces.
I mean,
that's
look at what happened on the north side. Bring in the free agents to the Haywards and everything. Like David Ross was a minor
John
one.
Lester.
But
that's
John Lester.
The one you need to talk about.
But also, I mean, Jason Hayward was a big one too when we got him from the Cardinals.
Oh, I know, but the biggest one was Lester.
Dexter Fowler, who played a big part in the World Series run. We didn't make that trade until it was like, all right, we need that one piece to go over.
On the closer.
Let's go get Chapman. Yeah.
That was
I don't know
a big deal.
if the Sox will technically need a closer.
Right.
But
they have a lot of good
that piece, whatever it is.
arms. Yeah, I think the piece that they might go after will be an ace if everything goes well for the White Sox in free agency. But I wouldn't necessarily explore the trade route just because I want to keep the farm system full right now, because there is no guarantee that any of these guys hit, and there's no guarantee that Mookie Betts would resign. So that's the reason why I wouldn't move Madrigal and Kopech for Betts unless there is a guarantee that he would resign. And even if there was a guarantee to resign, you would then be giving up more than Madrigal and Betts because he is a top 5 player in the MLB. So I think that it with the White Sox, it is a good thing that Scott Boras is saying this. he's not coming out and saying that, no, none of my clients are going to the White Sox. It is definitely a complimentary thing, but he is doing it to then level with Jerry Reinsdorf and Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams to say, we're open to business if you're open to business. That is what he's saying.
Do either of you have a wish list of a guy that's like, this is the one I really want in the White Sox jersey?
I mean,
or
if you want to give me Garrett Cole and Anthony Rendon, I'm not going to say no.
Who's going to say no to that? Yeah.
I think if you're going to go for a trade piece, one of my coworkers has a good list too. Chris Tannehill had a great list of free agents, and that one hasn't been able to come to fruition because two of the names that he did want were Will Smith, who's been signed by the Braves for $40 million, and then Jake Odorizzi, who opted into his qualifying offer. So that won't be able to be fulfilled, but there are good names on that. Let me get the actual list.
Odorizzi's with the Twins, right?
Yeah, he accepted his qualifying offer. And then Will Smith signed with the Braves. So he did say trade for Starling Marte, which I think is, it's much more attainable than getting a Mookie Betts. You don't have to move a Michael Kopech. You don't have to move a
Madrigal.
You can move on with some smaller pieces.
Yeah, another name on that was J.D. Martinez as well, which he stayed with the Red Sox. One of them was re-signing Jose Abreu, which he accepted his qualifying offer, so that will happen. Yasmani Grandal is on there. I would say Grandal would be an interesting add as a catcher. I think that would be a good signing for them. Starling Marte as a trade would be good. Now that all these moves have happened, I wouldn't be opposed to Nicholas Castellanos coming to the South Side. Okay. Clearly, throwing out Steven Strasburg, Anthony Rendon, Garrett Cole, those are. Yeah, if we added those, I'm not upset.
Right.
But at least for guys that are a little bit further behind that, I would say Grandal and I would say that Castellanos are probably the two that I'm most intrigued by. People are going to bash Castellanos' defense. It's better than what you think it is. I know that the metrics aren't great on him, but he wasn't a liability for the Cubs. No. I had to watch a lot of Cubs games because I worked for Cubs Radio Network. So and there was no glaring omissions where it's like, wow, this guy is really a liability out there, like Eloy was in left, or like Schwarber was in left for the Cubs for many times. And I know that Schwarber is got a great arm, but there's times that he makes just bad reads on balls.
Yes, he does.
Castellanos isn't the most athletic. He doesn't have the best jump, but he makes pretty good reads on balls. So I would be good with Castellanos signing. I'd be good with Grandal signing.
What I don't hear is a pitcher name not outside the top. Like that's. Yeah. Are you looking at Ryu and pitcher stuff is like the second tier?
The pitching stuff is difficult because I would say that it's tough to think about who they would add because they need an ace, and I don't know if the ace is out there. I mean, Bumgarner was an ace.
Cole or Strasburg.
Yeah, well, obviously, but I don't think they're going to be able to get him. And I think Strasburg's going to resign, and Cole's going to go to the Angels. Bumgarner's iffy because he's not the Bumgarner that he was.
Yeah,
but he was still very good last year.
Exactly.
But then he had the injury issues. He had that ACV accident. He's an iffy guy that I think he's on the wrong side of his career.
Yeah, he peaked so early in his carever.
Ryu has good stuff. I think that
can he continue where he left off?
Yeah, and people are going to bring up the age factor with that. Ryu's 33, Bumgarner's 30. However, I think Ryu's got more life and energy into his arm than Bumgarner does.
Definitely agree.
Wheeler's iffy too because Wheeler had a really good year last year, and he was a guy that was traded for Carlos Beltran out of the Giants system, and he was a really great prospect for them. I mean, he was never really able to find his footing into New York until that last year.
Yeah.
It's tough. I like Odorizzi. I do think it's kind of boom or bust with the aces. I think that's the thing that you need on this team, and it's going to suck that the fact that I know that we're probably going to be in contention for them, but it's like we're going to be fifth for Strasburg.
Well, that's the thing. It's like
and
how big
Cole,
would it be if we dropped out like the biggest offer in MLB history for Garrett Cole?
Just back up that Prince truck.
Would you feel good about that? Like if we could land him, but we did have to pay up like the highest paid pitcher in MLB history. That's tough to say.
I mean, if we're offering $280 million, I don't think I would be opposed to it.
If it hits that 300 mark. If we're hitting stupid levels of money. $280 million, stupid.
I don't think he's going to sign for that because I think if it's going to be hard to turn down $300 million, especially when Scott Boras is your agent. But
yeah.
I don't know if that's going to be the final call with him because I think if the Angels offered him $260, I think he would go there.
It's his preference.
He's a Southern LA kid, so yeah. I think that he is probably going to be the guy. that just goes there just because
The
of
local
location.
kid.
I would think that
Because
after that,
it's a big jump.
Keuchel would be an interesting add too.
Yeah.
Because he has playoff experience, former Cy Young. Wasn't great with the Braves last year, but wasn't horrible. I would like to see what he could do with a full offseason. I think he'd be much better than he was. I think he'd be much better this year than he would last year, but I don't think he's an ace.
Yeah.
And then outside of that, it kind of drops off. Then you're looking at Wade Miley and Rick Porcello, and that's just a fucking yikes.
Yeah.
So
that's why I think are we
think
going to have to throw down and overpay for a pitcher this offseason to legitimize us, or do you think that
I
if we
think
don't,
what it
we're
is
going to be set
need,
back a year?
I think you need inning eaters if you're not able to get an ace.
Okay.
I think you would then need to go to like a Rick Porcello or Wade Miley or some of the even lower tier guys. You'd have to find an Ivan Nova type candidate, but then have to spend a lot on the bullpen, and then make sure that if those guys can eat 6 innings and give you and only allow 3 runs, then you have to capitalize that. Have the bullpen close out, and then spend money on the bats to make sure that you can score 3 runs.
Yeah.
So there is ways to build a baseball team when it comes to if you don't have an ace or if you don't have that big bat in the lineup. I think that if the White Sox are able to go get Grandal and they're able to get Castellanos and add that to Moncada and Anderson and Abreu, and if Eloy obviously, if James McCann is DHing or Grandal's DHing, I think that would be able to allow you to go out and take a lesser shot at a at a pitcher
At that third tier of pitching.
Yeah, and I think that then you would be able to go out and just add another bat through a trade, because if you're able to get I don't know if they're going to keep Yoler Sanchez out there. Yoler Sanchez is probably an interesting second baseman for people because he is a great fielder.
Yeah.
He's a decent hitter. I don't know if Yomer fits into their plans as well because of Madrigal, so he could be a guy that goes and gets you a more defined bat rather than a great glove.
Right.
And because Madrigal has a great glove, and he's already got a great eye. I don't know if he's a power hitter though. So there's many ways the White Sox can go on this. The biggest thing that I don't want them to do is just not spend money.
Yeah.
If they're not going out and getting a top 10 free agent, like a Grandal, like one of these aces, like a Rendon, then I'm going to feel slighted.
Yeah.
And if they're in the conversation for all of them, then great. If it came down to, if the money is still there and they went away from the White Sox for different reasons, it will suck.
Right. But
I want to be in that conversation. I don't want Manny Machado walking.
To be like,
I don't want Manny Machado walking because we didn't give him exactly what he wanted.
Exactly.
Give these guys what they want. Offer it. Make a competitive offer. Don't offer them bullshit. Yep. And that's the biggest thing with that is I want the White Sox to make plays that are competitive, that actually sees where you are in your rebuild.
Yep.
Are you an attractive place for these guys to go? Because you can offer the most money, but we've seen that before. That doesn't mean you're necessarily the best place. If you offer the guy the same contract, like if you offer Rendon $300 million and the Nats offer him $300 million, he might stay with the Nats for $300 million. But let's just Padres throw him. I don't think they can, but the Padres throw him $300 million and you throw him $300 million. Where would he go? Like I want to see how competitive you can be.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to be able to walk away from the White Sox free agency period this year is, did we make enough competitive offers? Were we competitive? What was the reason we didn't win? And if it's money, that's going to piss me off.
Well, and just the last thing I was going to add to it was, don't feel like you have to get everything this free agency. If you don't get the starting pitching, that's fine.
Yeah.
A trade can be possible. Also, looking at next year, Tanaka's up. Are the Yankees going to re-sign him? A year is a long way away. And also, Trevor Bauer got traded to the Reds. Does he want to stay in Cincinnati? I wouldn't. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to be with the Reds. I'd pick the White Sox over the Reds if it was me.
I don't know about that.
And then also
the Reds might be good, but I would not scoff at Trevor Bauer being on my team. That guy can pitch.
I mean, he can, and that's why I would be like, maybe I go to the White Sox rather than the Reds. But let us know, White Sox fans, what you guys think down below. What's going to be your free agent wish list? Will guys actually want to come to the White Sox? Has that perception changed? Let us know down in the comment section. But Dave, let's move on into some Bears talk. I was going to open it up like it's a normal podcast because it's a different crew we got
just
here.
Just enjoying all this room over here.
Yeah, but for those of you who don't know, Dave had to sit with me over there because we did a fast break before this. And then Sean, obviously, for the first segment of Superfans. Before we get into everything, Twitch.tv. That's what I'll promote here. Twitch.tv/Most Valuable Podcast. That is where you go and follow us. Dave and I play video games. Maybe we play Diablo sometime. Because Dave wants me to play Diablo 3 before I
do, but I feel like it's
going to
burn you. But we're going to do it anyway.
Okay.
Yep. I recommend awful games to you.
Like, here's the thing, and I know this isn't the time to say this, but I am going to say it anyways.
Yeah, that's fine.
Have you fallen off the WoW train?
A little bit, yeah.
Because I feel like you do.
I've had a lot at work.
I feel like you do this to me, where it's like, I was like, man, I'm not going back to retail WoW. I'm going to be on Classic. Dave pulls me back into retail WoW and then goes after a while, all right, Ricky, have fun.
Yep. To be honest, like, work has basically been consuming way too much of my time for the last couple weeks.
I naturally think it's that.
When I come home, it's like come home, watch something that I don't have to do work about, and then I can just eat and go to sleep. Like, that's all I do at home. I don't even do anything anymore.
Do the same thing all over again.
Yeah.
The life of being an adult, but we're going to try to
it's real depressing.
We're going to escape the being an adult, and we're going to talk about the Bears, about sports. That I love how there's many podcasters out there that are like, now we're going to talk about something that does not matter. And it's like, it matters to me.
There you go.
But we're talking about Cam Newton and the Bears because apparently Cam Newton reportedly is being open to being traded to the Bears this offseason. So we're going to talk about, should the Bears even want to? Should the Bears think? Should the Bears fake the trade? I'm waterboying it here.
Yep.
We're going to think about a trade. No, we're going to think about thinking about the trade. Oh, no, we're going to trade for Cam Newton. Before we get into that, though, I want to ask you a side question. There were things coming out this week. I saw the clip of Danny Parkins on the Score ranting and raving about it. Well, not really raving, but ranting about it. What are your thoughts? Do you have any thoughts about this whole Ryan Pace apparently not even looking at Deshaun Watson at all, just being like, blinders, it's Mitch Trubisky. He's my guy. Not even going to focus on that one over there because this is the guy I want.
Yeah, that's really bad to admit publicly. Even if he did that, just don't. Oh, that's
apparently from what I got from the Parkins thing. Apparently, like he disguised himself to go to one of Mitch's, like the bowl game that Mitch was in.
Yeah,
and it's like he was doing all the things that you would normally do to not let somebody know that you really liked them.
Yep.
But you forgot about this one over here,
Your job is to make sure you get the right piece of talent for your team. And if you're not looking at all the options, are you really doing your job?
It's kind of like where someone makes up their mind and it's not the right choice.
Yep.
And you're like, hey, how about I'm not listening to you.
Yeah, I don't know anyone who would do something like that, Ricky. Do you?
I know. I don't know. Maybe he's in this room right now. But we're going to talk about Cam Newton, importantly. And I'll just throw it to you. This offseason, based on everything we've talked about with Mitch, Matt Nagy, should the Bears be openly trying to trade for Cam Newton this offseason?
Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind that we're going to find some way to fuck this up. But yes, the Bears should look to see what
fuck it up by actually trading for him or by not trading for him? Because it
depends
can
on
be
the situation.
seen both ways.
And that's my point is like, if we're not investigating all opportunities, are we doing our job? And I think the answer is no. I mean, you have to look and see what the asking price is. How healthy is he? What's the expected timetable for, again, him to be 100% again?
Yeah.
Does he look like he still has a good, the ability to move around? Does he still look comfortable? How well do you think that he will fit into Matt Nagy's offense? Is Matt Nagy's offense going to be the thing that, clicks with him, or is Nagy on the edge, There's a lot of stuff in the air, so you have to explore that opportunity and possibility really to get the most out of it. Whether, we pay too much for him, if his asking price is crazy high, for 1 year of a contract basically where there's a lot of questions there that need to be sifted through. And I think that as the Bears in the position we're at with our defense in the state that it's in, it's hard to pass up on an opportunity of a quarterback who has the talent that he has and the potential to get us to the promised land. I don't know that he will, but he'll put us in a better position to win than our current situation is with Mitch Trubisky.
The first point you mentioned is the big one of how does he fit with Matt Nagy?
Yeah.
Because, you can go ahead and say, yes, we're going to trade for Cam Newton, but if we're going to have the same problems that we're seeing with Mitch, and I kind of stopped myself there because I don't think we'll see the same problems, but at the same time, is Matt Nagy, what's actually the problem? Is it Matt Nagy not trusting Mitch, and that's why they're dumbing it down? Is it Mitch not learning? We still don't know the root of the issue. And that's why we keep having talk about the Bulls being Groundhog Day. The Bears are almost like Groundhog Day each and every week, where it's like, well, is it Matt? Is it Mitch? Is it Matt? Is it Mitch? And I want to say that Matt Nagy is dumbing things down because either Mitch isn't getting it or he thinks Mitch isn't getting it. I don't think Matt Nagy will think the same with Cam Newton, who's been in the league longer, who has
a proven
that
track
ethic.
record.
Yes, that proven track record to where it's like, okay, he can understand what I'm trying to do here, the language. The other question is, like you said, the health. And I feel like if Cam Newton is 100% healthy, you make that trade each and every day. However, and I'll ask you, what's your asking price? Because there's a couple that we've seen thrown around. I'm going to bring up 3 from thewindycity.com. They call them aggressive trade packages. The first one is Taylor Gabriel, a future second and a future fifth, and you'd get Cam in a future seventh.
Let's go one at a time on
Go
this.
ahead. So that's the first one.
Yeah.
Gabriel, a future second and a future fifth. You're sending that away to get Cam in a future seventh.
I really like Taylor Gabriel, but we have not used him well here at all. So I think that's an acceptable loss. I think the second and the fifth, as long as they're not in the same class, we're fine with, because the Bears really have succeeded in
Like
timing.
back-to-back years, like 2022, 2023.
Yeah,
kind
I'd be
of a thing?
fine with that split. I can't give it up in the same class because that's just a lot of capital for one class to go away. But we've been really good at our late round picks. We've been excellent at finding talent later in drafts and even in undrafted free agents. So I'm 100% okay with this. As long as you split those up, make the deal. That 100% push the button. We still have all the pieces we need. We still have enough capital to move forward on other guys as we continue to grow this team.
I find it ironic, too, that while we were talking about this before the podcast, you're like, yeah, Taylor Gabriel, a guy that would work well with Cam Newton.
He really would.
We're going to give him up to get Cam Newton.
Yeah, Taylor Gabriel is so quick on the field. Like, he has elite level speed and can beat guys in that first couple steps. Can blow past defenders. The Bears don't use him, right? So it doesn't matter. We don't have a quarterback who can give him the ball. But when you have someone with Cam Newton's his arm strength, and the fact that Cam lets those guys go 50-50 on balls, but when you have your defender beat by 3 steps, 4 steps, he's not underthrowing him.
Yeah, and
he's not going to underthrow.
And it's also like are you not using Taylor Gabriel because Matt Nagy doesn't like to use him, or because, hey, I don't trust Mitch to have many options?
He was literally brought
so
in to be a worse Tyreek Hill.
True.
He has the speed difference between Tyreek Hill and Taylor Gabriel is very, very minute. And I remember looking this up because Sean was like, he's not that fast. And I'm like, literally, they're 40
quick.
times are
quick.
within 0.0, I think 2 or 0.01 of each other.
Marginal. Like, they are so close.
Yeah, it's almost a nothing. So, yeah, he was brought in for a reason, and we have not used him. We've relied on the bigger bodies, the safe catches of Allen Robinson, and that's fine. I like Allen Robinson, but, like, that's a whole nother problem. You're right. Matt Nagy using talent.
The next one is a younger player who hasn't, the way they put it in the article is hasn't lived up to the high expectations, especially considering his arsenal of athletic ability. The next one is Leonard Floyd. You'd give up Leonard Floyd and a future second. And I'm assuming what they mean by future second is 2022 on.
Okay.
You would get in Cam Newton and a future 6. So you're trading Floyd for Cam, and then you're switching a future second for a future 6th.
I would do it. 100% pull that trigger.
I mean,
I like, Floyd, young talent, but he has not been a dominant pass rusher. And the one thing I hate about him, he over pursues off the edge, and he gets beat so poorly when they do like delay draws or delay screen dump offs. Like every time he should be containing the quarterbacks can slide through because he has one speed, one go. And that's fine if you have the guys around him to cover like the Bears do. We have a front 7 that's pretty incredible. But like he's still not a good enough closer on the quarterback for that to be worth it in my mind. And because he can't get that, and he's not in the upper percentage of sacks for the NFL since he's been in the league. He's been inconsistent at times. He's really talented though. He has absolutely all the talent he needs to be a top pass rusher in the NFL, but he's just not there.
The thing that I think complicates this too is, I got to look it up for sure, but it's the Danny Trevathan contract situation. Because when he went down, there were many posts I saw and questions on Twitter of people like, all right, did he play his last game as a Bear?
Yeah.
Because Danny Trevathan, part of that front seven, although with the linebacker core too, he's an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. The Bears going to pay up to get Danny Trevathan back.
I keep saying I love these guys. Like, that's the thing is, like, they're all so good on our team, but at the same time, they're not getting us to where we need to be.
Yeah.
So are they acceptable losses? Yes.
And I feel like the thing that complicates it is if you don't bring back Danny Trevathan, maybe then we have to keep Leonard Fournette because... Leonard Floyd, running back for the Jaguars. Leonard Floyd because of, we can't lose then 2 linebackers. But at the same time, quarterback is super important. The side note before I say the last one, and this is not a bash at Ryan Heckman, who has written this article on the Windy City, but have these sounded aggressive to you? These are not like super, unless I'm thinking us usual super hot take how we are.
We are a little bit hot, a little bit spicy.
I'm talking about the podcast in general.
But I mean, think about it. The cost is for 1 year. You're giving up a second-round pick. I mean, and you look at the previous...
Giving up sometimes 2 picks.
Exactly. Yeah. And you look at the history. Jimmy Garoppolo, what was the asking price? Jacoby Brissett, what was the asking price?
Younger players,
I just keep yelling at the Patriots. But, I mean, that's the thing is, like, look, team drafted quarterbacks. They have options.
Yeah.
With the Bears, we're going to pay up for someone who is injury-prone, who has not been, able to get his team... over the hump, I'll say. He got to the Super Bowl. He has, that in his game, but like it's just not. I don't know. Cam Newton at this point in his career is like, what can he give you? And he's on a 1 year deal, basically, right?
Yeah. So. He's on the 1 year. Next year is the last one before he's a UFA.
Yep.
The last trade, though, the third one they have, and this to me is where I feel the asking price will be. However, I wouldn't be shocked if it's a little bit less than this. Bears give up a 2021 first to get Cam Newton and a 2021 fourth. I say that I think this is it is because I think the Panthers, they're going to start somewhere. I wonder if they're going to go balls to the wall and say, nope, if we ain't getting a first of any kind,
I could see that.
Get out the door because it's Cam Newton.
I could absolutely see that, and I don't know. Here's the conflicted part. A first for 1 year of Cam Newton's not worth it.
And that would be the third. Like, you don't have a first round this year. Then 2021, this is the first aggressive one to me because this year you don't have a first. Oh, you're going to give up next year's first as well. 2 straight drafts, technically 3 straight drafts of no first-round picks.
But at the same time, if you look at our first-round picks before then...
They've been garbage.
Yeah, they're not so great. We're not great
to get a fourth, which Ryan
we can work with. We can work with the fourth. We can find a grinder in the fourth. That's the problem. Like, as a Bears fan, I'm like, honestly, like, that's not the end of the world. Like, it's a high cost, though. That's a very high cost for 1 year, non-guaranteed Cam Newton. If you did take that deal, it would have to be with the understanding that it's like, you're going to sign here, but we're going to sign you to an extension.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a, we'll wait and see. It's a, signing and sign extension.
How long would that extension be? Because he's 30 years old.
Yeah.
He's going to be 31 next year.
I think it'd be maybe a 3 year.
Okay. So bringing him up to, what would that be if my math is right, 34? Years at the end of that contract.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing I want to throw out there. If you don't want to give up players, if you don't want to give up picks, there's a certain someone, as we're recording this podcast, is working up for 24 teams.
There is.
Should Colin Kaepernick be an option for the Bears? Because, like, if you're going to bring up Cam Newton, I feel like you got to bring Colin Kaepernick into it because he's an option. And yes, 24 teams are at his workout.
Yeah.
But how many of those 24 teams are there just doing their due diligence? And how many are there saying, yeah, we're actually going to really pursue Colin Kaepernick?
I would be interested to see what Colin Kaepernick could do in a Bears system. I don't know if we're going to go after him. I feel like you said,
any team goes after him because I'd be surprised.
I think it's just interest. I think right now everybody's just kind of curious, like, you know what? It's been long enough. We're at a current place where quarterbacks, they get hurt a lot.
Everyone hates Myles Garrett.
Everyone hates Myles Garrett. But I mean, like, quarterbacks get hurt a lot. Like, there's something to be said about someone who's played in the playoffs, who's got the history that he has, who has the track record. So I'm like, I would be interested. Again, kick the tires, see what's there. If he looks great in that workout, is he going to be any worse than Mitch? Can it get worse?
On my Bears,
I'd be for it.
And this is I'm thinking very like Chicago radio style with this kind of a thing. Let's throw up Ricky's quarterback big board up there, what the Bears should do. I'm putting Colin Kaepernick at number 1.
Yeah.
The Bears, like, the reason why, there's no risk.
Yeah.
There's literally no, like, the only risk you have is alienating some fans.
Yep.
And at this point, I kind of go, okay, Boomer. Like, that's what I think. Like you said, it's been far enough.
Yep.
If you really look into it, was it the right way to approach the situation? Probably not the best, but not the worst. But
I don't think he. Again, I think there's the case that there was nothing really done wrong or disrespectfully.
Yeah,
it's just people read into his actions. People read into his actions and put their own biases towards what it meant.
I mean, the
he did not come out and say, "I hate America."
Yeah.
He did not do anything other than say that the police were treating people, African Americans, differently. Like, that was all he's saying. He's like, look, you're treating us poorly. This is not fair. That's not fair in life. You guys are treating us differently than everyone else. Is he wrong? No.
I mean, for me, the only thing looking back at him that I looked at and was like, probably wouldn't have done that was when he was on the practice field and had the
pig socks.
The pig socks on. Like, I look at it and I'm like, I get it, but probably wouldn't have done, like, the optics of that.
Yeah.
Don't look right. But I mean, everything else, it's been so long. Like,
but did he ask to be put as the face of a movement or anything? No, he was just coming out and being like, everybody was, everyone,
exactly.
like, Black Lives Matter was already a thing. He was just like, look, I can bring attention to this.
It doesn't help that Donald Trump used it as like a rallying cry,
right,
for him too,
for white nationalists,
which basically, like, and with him because that was during the time. It's been that long that he was running for president during that time, right?
I'm gonna look it up.
That was during when Trump was actually running for president, not actually president. Because I thought he used that in his campaign trail. Like, NFL owners, they should just fire them if they kneel during the national anthem. I
2016?
Yeah, that was the last time we elected a president.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was using it in his campaign trail. I feel like Kaepernick should be at the top because the risk is low. You're not giving up a player. You're not giving up draft capital. You can add a guy, even if it's to add him to add competition to Mitch. Because then if you add Colin Kaepernick, you necessarily don't have to spend a second-round pick on a Jacob Eason. Because, like, I looked at Tankathon's mock draft yesterday just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
Your first pick is Jacob Eason in the second round. That's who they have you going with. Because the Bears right now, it's like, is Mitch the future?
And the answer is no.
Then below him would be Cam Newton, only because you have to give up to get Cam Newton.
Right.
And what's going to be the Panthers' asking price? If I'm the Panthers, I don't have to give him up. So why would I? So if you're going to come knocking at my door, first-round pick or get out of here. Like, that's how I would think if I was the Panthers. But it's all going to depend on what the Bears want to do and what they see fit, because also it depends on how the workout goes. Like you said, maybe Colin Kaepernick goes out there and it's like, you know what, 32-year-old quarterback? Nah, I'll pass. He don't look like the same Kaepernick that he did before. That may well be the case. We just got to see what happens.
I mean, quarterbacks last pretty late in their career. I'm just saying, like, they're 37, 38, 39-year-old, 40, 41, 42-year-old quarterbacks now. Like, there's...
But I'll ask this. Kaepernick was not the... He wasn't playing the style that, like, Tom Brady plays.
He wasn't,
he was playing more of an athletic style.
He has accurate passing. He was a very accurate passer. Yes, the ability to bootleg out was amazing, and his legs were great. That doesn't mean that he can't transition from one phase of his career to the next, and I absolutely think he's still got it.
Taking the whole mellow route there, Dave. A little foreshadowing on my part.
Just saying. I think that players grow, and I mean, like, quarterbacks aren't the same person throughout their entire career. That's very rarely, I'll say. You know, Brett Favre was always Brett Favre. Yeah. You're not going to un-Brett Favre.
Man, there's about 5 defenders there. I can get it in there.
I could throw a cross-body 60-yard bomb for funsies. Like, that's
back of the end zone for one of the greatest touchdowns I've ever seen in a Viking uniform.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you think about other quarterbacks and they adjust to what they're capable of, and that's the thing. Like, you don't see, well, you don't see him anymore. Never mind. I'm not even going to go there. I was going to start talking about other quarterbacks who've changed from being that mobile quarterback to a more stationary pocket passer. And that's what it is.
Last thing I want to ask you, though, is this has nothing to do with Chicago.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to talk to somebody about it.
Sure.
The Monday night stuff that went on with Miles. I want to tag this at the end because I don't have the onside kick anymore.
You could do your own standalone segment.
I could, but
You're doing that for other stuff.
I could, but I didn't. And that's why I didn't have a lot to say, but I wanted to say out here. He should be done forever, right? Like, is that too much to say? Like, I know he's suspended indefinitely, but should Myles Garrett be done forever?
I don't know about
forever.
If they say forever, that is massive by the shield. And the one thing I will say is the NFL has been one of the more strict associations or governing bodies for a sport. So if they came out and were like, hey, never happens again. You know why? Because you're done forever. Yeah. Like, and that sends a statement across the league that's like, look, fighting, like, we'll tolerate up to this point. You cross this line.
Hitting someone with a helmet.
Richie Incognito stepped on a man's head wearing spikes.
There was also fucking Hainsworth did that too.
I'm sorry, Hainsworth. Yeah, Hainsworth is one that did that. Richie Incognito just punched somebody.
Yeah, he's just a scumbag overall.
He stepped on someone's head, but it wasn't as bad. It didn't get the blood marks.
Hainsworth actually he
required stitches. Yeah. Guy required stitches. I don't know. The NFL is weird about the way they punish players. Seemingly off the field issues are tolerated more. We haven't seen a lot of guys kept out of many games for on the field stuff. You know, when you look at Kareem Hunt, you look at Tyreek Hill. They've both had off the field domestic abuse issues, and both these guys are back playing the game. And short recovery time. So it seems like the ethics in football are kind of a toss up. When it comes to allowing fights on the field, he swung a weapon at another man's head. I think that should qualify. Which a lot of people are asking for assault.
The funnier thing is, I don't know if you saw the video. I know you probably did because I think Sam put it in our Discord of the guy who took a helmet and bashed it against the wooden chair and was like, all right, that would hurt. That would hurt a lot.
Yeah, thankfully the way it came in contact with him, it had the cushion part on the edge, so like it wasn't as bad as it could have been. Poor fucking Mason Rudolph, though.
I know, right?
That guy's an awful quarterback for one, but
after he got decked in that one game, a couple leagues, he went dead limp,
knocked out cold, dabbing.
At the dead arms where I'm like, ooh,
that man,
is he dead?
That man got concussed like out of this world once this season, and then he gets 4 interceptions in the game. He's not a good quarterback.
I remember seeing that.
That was brutal.
The Rocco from Boondock Saints. Is it dead?
Yeah.
Is it dead?
When I saw that happen the first time, it was holy shit, did we just witness like history here? Like a person dying on the field.
It's got to be Jamal Adams. He said it would be an honor, right?
Jeez.
Some of the dumb things that football players have said. But it's because I'm on the side of like,
I don't know if he deserves to come back. I think this year, no.
A year at least.
The question is, does he get tossed on the side for the entirety of next year?
I feel like at least. Because there's so little of this year. And I know they said playoffs, but it's like, let's be making no playoffs. Let's be completely honest here. But I just wanted to throw that out there because I wanted to get your thoughts and your reactions on it. But
if they want to steer people away from violence on the field,
that's what I was going to say about it. A terrible time for something like this to happen because like Pouncey, I think it was Pouncey, after the game said, they're like, well, what do you think you're going to get? Because like you tackled and punched Myles Garrett.
Yeah, no, he went after the guy who fucking tried to murder his quarterback.
He's like, whatever, I'll take whatever punishment I get. He goes, let's see what kind of a punishment Myles gets because then we'll really see how the league cares about its players.
Exactly.
And I'm like, that's the attitude you want heading into a possible lockout. Because the CBA's done at the end of the year.
Players Association, there's going to be a strike.
I thought there was going to be a strike before.
This is a divisive
This is
topic.
something where it's like, if the NFL doesn't do it right, those players could be like, well, do they really care about us? And that could add something to the pool. But Bears fans, more importantly, what do you think for your quarterback situation? Cam Newton, Kyle Kaepernick, you making a trade, you making a sign, or you just staying with Mitch and adding, the one thing we didn't talk about is adding a rookie to then be competition to Mitch. What are you thinking down below? And let's close out the podcast talking about Doppels. And make sure to check us out, patreon.com/mostfoulpodcast. That's how you help support the channel. Make sure we can do great things like we're doing. And also at $1, not only do you get access to our Discord channel that gives you access to talk about everything, but Dave, I'm going to let you take this over for a little bit. What have we been doing? Well, you've done it more than me. I should have popped in during the Bulls game, but what have we been doing with some Discord mates?
We do watch-alongs now in Discord. You get to watch NBA games. We do it as a community. We do it as a group. Everybody's shooting the shit. We're having fun. We're watching games together. It's a great time. And I think both times we've done it, we've done, like
We
a
did
game and a
Sixers,
half or
Suns,
so.
and then you guys did Knicks Bulls.
Yeah, but I mean, like, we watched 2 games usually.
Yeah.
It was like a game and a half. The one, I didn't want to keep going because I was tired and it was late.
Which one was that after the Bulls?
That was after
game,
the
or-
Knicks Bulls.
Okay.
Yeah. But we watched 2 games the first time. We started shooting the shit about it. It's a fun time. You can come in, talk shit about other teams. Be respectful. But Jake, watch yourself.
What is it? Was it Easy?
Easy was in there.
Win?
Yeah.
Talking about his Knicks, which sorry, but we won this time. We got the revenge on Bobby.
Yeah.
But we're talking about Bulls. Make sure Patreon though, if you want to join in on that, join in on everything. That's down below in the description. But let's talk about the Bulls. And I have a distinct question that I want to ask, and this is something that has been prevalating or circulating in my head, percolating in my head since the Milwaukee game. And it's not a one-game thing. It's been happening all year round. And I don't know if it's because Stella needs to get her groove back. The Monstars have come and just taken away decision-making from this player on the Bulls. I don't know what it is, but I can't keep saying it. And that's Zach LaVine.
Yeah.
The question that we're going to answer is Zach LaVine right for the Bulls' future? And I know what you're saying. Well, Ricky, he is. Stay true. Be that Zach LaVine stan that you and Dave have been on the fast break in front of Sean for so long.
Yep.
And then there's Devin Booker haters saying that, Devin Booker's really not as good as Zach LaVine.
Nope. Zach LaVine's not as good as Devin Booker.
So
you got to say it the right way around if you're going to make fun of people.
I have a question, though, for you.
Yeah.
And that is, So Bulls Kingdom, who I follow on Twitter, had a great tweet where he retweeted Casey Johnson, Bulls insider with NBC Sports. And Casey Johnson tweeted during the game, "Not a good field goal attempt from Zach." Bulls Kingdom said, which one was you talking about? Because there were a lot.
Yeah.
And the thing with Zach that I can't stand anymore and needs to stop is I don't know if he feels like he needs to be the one that's leading the team. I don't know if it's like, well, I haven't had a shot in a while. Let me check it up. But it's like he'll drive down. All right, I'm just going to shoot a 3. And he shoots it and bricks it. And then the ball's going the other way. And I'm like, wait, what just happened? There was 24 seconds on the clock. What just happened?
Yeah.
And this is why in my head, I am now asking the question, is Zach LaVine right for our future? Or are we starting to learn here that maybe Zach ain't the right guy for us leading? It's Kobe and Wendell and everyone else is secondary.
That speaks a lot about where the Bulls are at right now, that everybody else is secondary. But no, I think the problem with Zach LaVine, I do agree. His shot selection goes to shit, and he does go into like hero mode at times. It's like you don't need to play hero ball. Our offense has a flow to it, and I feel like you're right. He either just puts the blinders on, jacks up bad shots, or drives lane for absolutely no fucking reason. He doesn't play within the offense because he feels he is the offense. And I think that's part of the problem of us kind of struggling to find a true point guard. Sato's good, but he doesn't seem to be the perfect fit. We thought somebody who's not a shoot-first point guard like him could be good, but I think we need a little more maybe ego running from the point guard to where like he can dictate the level of offense. He can kind of dictate the pace of play, where it still feels like Zach LaVine's that guy on our team. Sato's just a nice accompanying piece next to him.
Like Zach's playing the point, Sato's playing the 2.
I don't. Yeah, Sato's just an afterthought.
Just with how they
running our offensive
bringing
sets.
the ball up. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think the problem is the pace of play needs to be dictated by our point guard, and Zach is just going to do Zach because he feels like he's the best player on the team. He may be the best player on the team right now, but he's not always playing like it. Is the problem. That lack of consistency and that perma green light in his head kind of frustrate the fuck out of a lot of fans right now.
And there's even a part of me that's like, is it just because Zach isn't Deadeye right now? He's not the last 2
games is good.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
that's not so much.
Like, I feel like there were more times last year that Zach would do that and the ball would go in the bucket rather than banking off and the ball going the other way. So there's a part of me that's like, were they just going in last year, and that's why I didn't notice this from Zach last year?
And to be fair, his shooting splits this year are 42, 37, 78. And for historical comparison, last year he was 46, 37, 83. So yeah, it is a dip from where he was last year considerably. But still, point being that I don't know if he is the right guy because he feels like he should run the offense. and I don't know that he should run an offense. I think that's sort of the problem is Devin Booker might have done it a little bit better than him, but the problem with both of them was that they cannot succeed running an offense solely on them on their own merit. Like Devin Booker got the help in Ricky Rubio. Zach LaVine did not find that partner.
Right.
Ricky Rubio.
Thank you. Got to roll them R's, baby.
Yep. But I just feel like Sato is a good piece, but he's not, our point guard. He's not the guy to be our point guard.
He's also playing a very different role than he did in Washington, too.
I mean, to be fair, like John Wall was hurt all last year, so he kind of played a similar role.
Yeah.
But he was better running the second unit. No doubt in my mind. I think the thing that kills me is just watching the differences in our offense when we have that first unit out there versus when that second unit.
The Kobe, Chris Dunn unit.
Kobe, Chris Dunn, Archie Diacono, Thad Young. Like I just feel like, I don't know, Chicago in the bench mob. Like we love our bench more. It's our backup quarterback situation all over again.
The best feeling in the world was watching the Kobe White 3 when Archie passes it, turns around before the shot's even gone, and is already celebrating it without even looking at it.
It's just confidence.
It's the swaggy P that we wanted to see.
Kobe couldn't miss that game. Oh, a couple games now. He's had just that streak of threes.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem is we're seeing it come from other guys, and it's like, why aren't we doing this better? How come a lot of it comes from Lowry's struggles, though? So
I was even going to bring him up because I know
both
this
of
is
our
a Zach
LaVine statement.
Go ahead. No, but I was going to bring Lowry is not Lowry in our mind this year.
Right. And that it all sort of, comes together is the problem is Zach LaVine, the guy of our future. I don't know because right now the offense is still trying to run through him, even though we're saying we're going to use a true point guard and we're not really. And Lowry is not the scorer that he's supposed to be. He was supposed to be our 7-footer, our sniper from the outside, the guy
the finisher,
the guy who's 7 feet tall shooting guard.
Yeah,
we're not using him like that, and he has no confidence anymore. I know there's the injury claim right now, but it's just not right. Otto's out, another problem. So it's like we're playing with half the deck, and we're not getting great results, but on paper we're like we should have won these games. We've blown games. It's different if we had been behind the whole time, but we've blown almost I want to say half of our losses are
Charlotte
blown
should have
leads.
been a win.
Yeah.
New York on the road should have been a win. Cleveland on the road should have been a win. Indy on the road, just because of who was sitting that game, should have been a win, although we were outplayed. Looking at the game, we were outplayed, shouldn't have won looking at that.
Right.
But we should have gotten up for that game and played better in that game. That's why I complete that as a win. And then, the Lakers should have been a win. And I'll even throw out the Milwaukee game. Although we were up by 1 at half, I feel like the same thing happened. A bad third. Milwaukee gets the lead. And then it's like we did better in the fourth to try to, what was it? We cut it to a, 4 or 1 point game.
Yeah.
And then Zach does the hero ball thing. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
You were down by 4. Yes, that would have cut the lead to 1, but get a better shot, my man.
Exactly.
Better shot.
He doesn't work for it. He just goes. So that's the thing. Is it all on him? No. But does it look like this guy is our guy of the future? No.
You know who's our true guy of the future? Who
Wendell Carter.
Bingo. If someone told me Ricky, get one untouchable on the Bulls, who is it? Nobody touches Wendell.
I'm taking the 5.
I'm taking the 5, and I'm and that's weird for me because I've usually me and the 5 have a weird.
You're anti.
I am anti-5.
It's the big men don't win.
But it just
he's
his
bringing
attitude
it every night,
and his attitude, his comments about Bobby, where it's he ain't gonna have that game again.
Yep.
Wendell is the attitude I want on this team. He is the guy I want.
Wise beyond his age.
I want him to mature into this leader
Yeah.
on the Bulls. And then it's if you gave me 2 keepers, it's Kobe. That's it. And then really out of that, it's I don't need any more keepers. I'm good with just those 2. I've liked what, and you mentioned the Otto injury. I've actually liked what Hutch has brought to the team, weirdly. Yeah. It's just he plays a little bit too out of control and doesn't finish some dunks, but it's he's young. I'd rather have that than him just look like complete ass on the basketball court. But it's it's weird. It's weird, and also
it's just frustrating. I think it's the thing. For me, it's not weird. It's just frustrating watching this team because we had expectations for them
that were high. Some said way too high.
You and I, high.
This is a great kind of therapy session because you and I had the way too high.
This is our come to Jesus moment. This is our look. Let's be honest. what this team is playing like right now, we should be like you said, we should be winning a lot of these games, but we're not. And what's the problem? Outside of our health, just on the court, is Lauri Markkanen and Zach LaVine, the two guys who were supposed to be they were the centerpieces of the the Jimmy trade.
Yeah,
they were the two big takeaways. Chris Dunn was a redemption arc already from day one. We knew that, but those two guys were that's what's going to make our team start the new generation of Bulls, and both of them. Lowry much worse than Zach, but both have kind of faltered this year out the gate. So I think that problem has kind of started this conversation of like, okay, we went from we're really confident, we've got great 4 pieces in our starting lineup, we feel real good, to now it's like, so I'd be cool if by a couple weeks before the trade deadline, if we're not competing for a playoff spot, would you be cool with a turnaround in a trade?
Oh, you're reading my mind, Dave. You're reading my mind.
Would you pull a trigger on something like that? And again,
now,
the funny
Lowry,
thing is,
no, but Zach, maybe.
The funny thing is we all joked about this last season when the Sacramento Kings offered that deal.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you forced us to pay him. And like, oh, Chicago's idiots for paying him. Look, only Sacramento would make that deal.
Yeah.
And we're like, no, it's gonna work out great. And last year it did. And LaVine played really well. And I think the difference was LaVine playing without talent around him. Now that there's talent there, now that everybody's not hurt at the same time, like you have, Sato's been healthy, LaVine has been there, you've had Lowry. I don't care. He's
Zach
not actually
is trying
hurt.
to squid that.
Wendell's there.
He's trying to put that round peg into a square hole.
It feels unnecessary. It's like he doesn't understand the pieces around him, or he's not trusting of them because he feels like he has to go get his.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's part of his contract. I don't know if that's part of the Jim Boylan message of you're the number one on this team, act like it, play like it.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure where it's coming from, but all I know is that I look at him and I look at the contract and I'm like, we paid you. You played great last year. This year, you didn't start off shooting well. No one on our team did. But there's got to be some point where it starts to catch on. In the last 2 games, he's played better. Does that mean that this is the right flow for our team going forward, though?
And here's the other thing, and I don't know if this is true, so I shouldn't say it, but I will, because it's going to make good conversation.
Sure.
Where I wonder if a part of it is you look at Bulls Twitter, you look at Bulls radio, you look at everyone talking about the Bulls. Who are we talking about very fondly right now? Wendell and Kobe.
Yep.
And like I just said, my one keeper would be Wendell. How much of this is Zach hearing? Because I know players say the thing of like, oh, I block it out, I don't hear it. But let's be honest, Kevin Durant's not the only one that listens to everyone on Twitter and responds to average Joes. Yep. Maybe people don't respond to it, but I wouldn't be shocked if there's good players that listen.
I guarantee you every player listens, because
how much of it is Zach listening and going, no, I'm the lead, like I'm the one on this team, and maybe I don't want to say getting jealous because he hasn't shown jealousy through like interviews and stuff.
No,
but
he's a super nice guy.
Maybe a little part of it is, hey, I need to play better. I need to produce better so that they're looking at me that way because I should be that guy, and that's why he's forcing the issue.
He should be winning games, and
he should be our closer.
He should be our guy.
Yeah.
And that's the problem is he's not playing like a number one right now.
Yeah, the guy that how many Bulls games have I watched and it's like Will Purdue post games like, yeah, the Bulls just need that guy to help close out games. Well, isn't that supposed to be Zach LaVine?
Yeah.
Isn't like you look at LeBron, you look at James Harden, you look at all these guys. It's like when the chips are on the table and you got to close a game, that's the guy who's going to close it.
Feels like we've got a bunch of number 2s and 3s on the team. Not number 2s as poops, but
now you sound like Sean calling them number 2s. Everyone's a number 2 in Chicago.
That's true. That's true. Do we have is Zach LaVine our number 1? And I know I dropped the trade thing early, but like let's round back to like if he's not our number 1 guy. He's under contract. He's 24 right now.
He's got 2 more years.
2 more years at $19.5 million, which honestly, for someone putting up 20 points a game and 4 boards, 4 assists, not bad. Like that's the dumb thing. It's like on paper, if you looked at the stats, you'd be like, you guys are crazy for moving on from a piece like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's just like it's a better version of like a Wiggins deal where it's like if we just keep holding out, he's gonna get better, right? He's gonna get better. He's gonna turn a corner.
Well, and that's why I
feel like this season is just we're reacting so heavily early.
Because of the expectations.
Because of the expectations, yeah.
And I mean...
But at what point can we not be critical on a team?
And I mean, the whole thing I'm looking at, too, is if we end up where we're ending up right now and things continue, we're going to be a top 10 pick again.
Number
will
7.
probably be number 7 because lucky number 7 for the Bulls. Right now, Tankathon has us going with Maladon out
Theo
of
Maledon.
out of France.
Yep,
I don't
that's
know
your point.
I don't know if I like that, because here's the question I want to ask you. Sean mentioned it on the fast break. I didn't get into it because I'm like, people don't like when I talk Bulls on the fast break.
We
But
brought
he-
up Bulls like 3 times. It's okay.
He mentioned how Kobe White isn't he's not the point guard. He's going to be the 2. Where I
Yeah,
look
I
at it
heard
and I
him say
go,
that.
I'm like, I don't know. I've liked what I've seen from Kobe actually running the offense. Maybe it's just that second unit. His problem is, and like we saw in the Buck game, when he gets that groove going, he gets a little bit too reckless.
Ain't
like that one,
nobody touching the ball but Kobe.
like that one where he ran under the basket and he passed it out.
Yeah.
I knew what he was thinking. He's like, that
Yep.
guy's going to be there. They were just off, and I think it was Archie or someone just slid over a little too far, and the ball went out of bounds. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, and
the
it's-
confidence. When he plays with confidence, it's fun, though. Like, that's the thing is,
It's like unhinged.
just listening to you get excited about him is
I
the
know,
point.
right?
You don't get that excited about the way we're playing with our starters, but that second unit, man,
Yeah.
they're spicy. They're fun. Chris Dunn's out there leading the NBA in steals.
Is it just
you got
me?
the hustle game?
This is a side note.
Yeah.
Aside, is it just me that cringes a little bit when I think it's Stacy always compares Kobe to Ben Gordon?
Yeah.
Because there's a part of me that's like, I want him to be better than Ben Gordon was good.
That's the thing. You
but
look
I
at
want
Ben
him to
Gordon's
be
career, and you're like,
better
man,
than
Ben Gordon was
Like,
good.
I want him to be better than Ben Gordon. When I look at Kobe White, I don't want the comparison to be, it was Ben Gordon.
Ben Gordon was a good player, though. He really was. He was a good player for us. He fell off the earth after Detroit, but like his time, come on, think about it. Rookie year, 15, 2-2.
Good point.
On pretty good shooting
Those
at
were
the
the
time.
baby bowls, though, right?
That was 04-05, so it was just past the end of baby
Okay.
bowls. He was just transitioning out of baby
Okay.
bowls to like
Into
a
the
different form
Derrick Rose in 08.
before them. Yeah. So he was putting up, what did I say, 15, 2-2 on 41, 40, 86 shooting.
Okay.
Really good start.
Yeah.
Really good start. Then goes up to 16, keeps the shooting right in line, goes up to 21 in that third year. I'm sorry, when you're putting up 21 points a game, shooting, 45, 41, 86. Like, does that not scream like this guy's going to be a stud for the long term? That's my point. It's like you say Ben Gordon. I'm like, do you not remember how good Ben Gordon was for the Bulls?
Maybe I don't. Maybe I remember like
We did
Ben
not win many
Gordon's-
games.
Yeah, and maybe
But
that's
he was
why.
very good.
Maybe that's why. And this is to
Yeah, 'cause he bounced
foreshadow.
like 15, 16, 21, 18, 20. Like he had those first, 5 years of his career were great. And then we didn't want to pay him. And he went to Detroit and he fell off the face of the earth. That's fine. I can't help that. That was that man's career.
You know what I also just noticed?
What's that?
So we're recording this on Saturday, obviously before the Bulls-Nets game.
Yeah, they're gonna be playing a little bit.
You know who's going to be going off this game? Zach's going to have like a 35-point game.
Easily.
Just because we talk shit now before
Because
it
that'll be
comes out
3 straight
tomorrow.
good games for him.
Yeah.
But you know
So
what?
I just noticed that. But like,
That's what we're saying. This is time to overreact. This is time to
Yeah.
understand where we're as a team. And if you say Kobe White is not, or Sean mentioned Kobe White's not a true point guard, I don't know that he needs to be a true point guard because the question is Zach LaVine long term on this team? Was your initial question?
Well, and that's where I'll get to of if we have another top 10 draft pick
yeah,
at the end of this year, next year by the trade deadline, if things aren't where I like it to be,
yep,
I think next year, 2020-2021 season, by the trade deadline, you can move on from Zach because then you can sell teams on. You're getting Zach for the rest of this year to implement him with that team, and then you get him for just 1 year. It's not a huge marriage proposal for most teams, and you can move on from Zach. The question
and that
is,
deal's
what would
not
you
a
want in
bad deal.
return?
Like again, 24 and 4 is kind of where he's been floating around. Last year he had a better year. The year prior he had somewhere in that area. So it's like if that's a baseline, that's not bad. Yes, his defense is not good. His effort's getting better, but he's still not quite there. So like, I don't know. I think teams would be interested in him. I think the contract's not as bad. It's not a bad contract yet. So
Because at the end of when this contract ends, he's going to be entering the prime of his prime.
Yeah.
That's 27, 28, where we usually see, like, he's starting his prime now.
Yeah, I
correct?
mean,
24 is the start, or is it 22?
we agreed that, 24.
Okay.
We agreed that 24 is probably the prime start for the NBA because of your athleticism,
Yeah.
your explosiveness. You might get stronger as you go, but you might not, be as quick and agile. So I think he's fine. I think he's in his prime. I just don't know long term if he's in the Bulls' plans. You have to answer him and Lowry, though. Like, I think it's Lowry. Is this just a slump to start the year? Is this something we're going to forget by the time that March, April, May roll around?
He's so like.
That's why I wouldn't give up on Zach. I'm not done with Zach, but Kobe White intrigues me as a starting two guard.
The reason why I wouldn't, with the whole trade thing, why I wouldn't do it with Lowry is this is Lowry's third year.
Yeah,
he's still young. Like Zach is older than Markkanen. I know it's only by 2 years, but
that's 2 years. It's a lot.
We still have 2 more years of Markkanen under contract. Then he's an RFA, where I know people could kings it up and throw him a contract just for us to match it. But I look at it and I go, I'm not ready to give up on Markkanen, but that Zach clock is like, you got to show me what you can do this year, and if you fit, because you're either on the bus or you're off the bus. Because we're not, and maybe this is me as a fan talking and not the organization, but we're not going to be here much longer. I don't want to be in this fighting for a 7th seed. Or not a 7th seed, a 7th pick in the draft every single year. Like, that's not where I want to be. Eventually, I want these to pan out. And with Wendell and Kobe, I see that possibly working for us. But yet again, how much of that is going to be, and I don't think it is, I think Wendell is showing us even in year 2. Like, Wendell coming off an injury, too. Coming off an injury, and it's like, hey, I'm going to play. That's another thing in the Buck game that fucked us is when he fouled out. Those refs were... Is it just me, or were those refs terrible during that game?
They were calling everything.
Okay.
Like, it's funny, because in the Knick game, I felt like they were letting contact happen and letting people play through. But in the Bucks game, you're right, everything was getting called.
Because, like, the thing that I hated in the box score was we finished 21 of 35 from the stripe. They went 34-42.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, you can't be sending anything.
Again, Zach fouled out of that game.
Wendell fouled
out. So we're trying to defend.
Lowry was at 4.
Yeah, but he was off the court.
5.
He was off the court for chunks of time.
Yeah.
So like you're trying to defend with Thad Young,
and
then
Archie had 4.
What? Archie played defense on Giannis.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like the
good old Kurt Heinrich bear hug. That's what I wanted.
Oh my god. The point being, like, it's a problem. It's a legit problem. Ugh.
And I mean, the last thing I do want to say is you mentioned confidence.
Yep.
And is it a confidence thing? I think this all circles back to one thing. If it's a confidence issue, it's Jim Boylan, because who's the guy that's supposed to be giving these players their like? I know you can say like the right things to give a guy confidence, and part of you might say it comes down to yourself to give yourself the confidence too.
Yeah.
But it's about the coach, because like how many times do I have to say, "Oh, we go into the halftime locker room and then we come out flat-footed"? Is that a player thing? Is that a coach thing? I don't know. I'm just not happy with what I see on the court from the Bulls. And that's why we're having this discussion, because like Zach, 8 of 20? I know he had 25 points in the game, but 8 of 20 in the last one and a lot of bad shots. But any final thoughts before we wrap this thing up? Anything you want to get off the chest, Dave?
It's not time to move on yet. This is a young team with young season.
Dave's pushing that panic button to the side. It's still out. It's not under the table.
Right.
But it's off to the side.
I think we give it, a month and we see where we're at. We'll recollect our thoughts after a month and kind of make that decision, because in that time we got a lot of fun matchups. We got a lot of interesting games. And I want to see if Kobe White can take this momentum that he's built in these last 2 games of shooting way too fucking well and getting us way too excited, leading to Ricky giving him, maybe an award or something.
Maybe.
It just turns into the like, all right, is he legit the guy? Can he take over games? Can he be the guy for us? If he shows that year one, I'm not afraid of pulling the trigger on something interesting,
My quick question for you.
Yeah.
Do you know when tickets for the All-Star game go on sale?
I don't know.
Okay. Because I was reminded of that this week, that I'm like, oh shit, the All-Star game's in Chicago this year. We definitely need to go to the All-Star game.
I think you can buy them now.
And probably the All-Star weekend, because that would be awesome. How many Bulls will we see in that game? Probably none, but we'll see.
They should give us one if one's playing well enough.
Wendell?
None are.
Wendell?
No, none are.
Wendell, a second-year All-Star.
I'm pretty sure they're available.
I mean, but yeah, let us know what you guys think down below. That was just one thing I thought of. Like, man, if it's here in Chicago, we should obviously go to the game. Let us know what you guys think, Bulls fans, down below. Vent your frustrations also. Dave put it perfectly. the come to Jesus moment because we had such high expectations for this team, and now they are crumbling early on in front of our faces. Let us know what you guys think. Make sure to support us on patreon.com/mostvaluable podcast, especially if you want to get in on those Discord watch-alongs. Also, make sure to follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/mostvaluable podcast. Want to thank you guys for checking out today's show, and as always, have a good day, everybody.